Okay guys, now we're to the e-collar portion of the program. After you've completed an entire on-leash program, if you decide you want to move to off-leash, which is having 100% reliability of your dog off-leash and a communication tool to hold them accountable, we are to that point. And so we are going to take everything that we learned and layer it onto the e-collar. I'm going to take off my treats right now, just so that Polly can focus on this part, and then I will add the treats. I think it is very important to use treats when you're teaching e-collar. Polly, sit. So remember, we've taught, the sit on the leash, everything. I do let the dogs know what tool, that we're putting on them. A lot of times dogs have been poorly conditioned to tools, but it's not the tool we're using, it's how it's being used. And so, so basically just making sure the dog has a good, positive experience. That's why I think it's important to use treats. So now this is a new e-collar, and so I'm gonna explain the e-collars that we use. We recommend using e-collars with 100 levels or higher, because then you can fine tune and talk to the dog, communicate with them on a level that is appropriate for them in terms of communication, not correction. If you use a collar that maybe only has 10 levels or lower, the first level is going to feel more intense than probably a 10 on this collar. And so it feels more jolting to the dog. It feels more like a correction rather than communication. So it's important that you find a collar that has 100 levels or higher, and we are also a dealer for e-collar technologies, and so you can purchase e-collars through them as well. So I'm going to go through just using this collar and talk about the placement. So the placement of the collar should go high up behind their ears, and this is a new collar, so it's not been cut to size. You can cut off the excess, but I'm just going to show you how to fit a proper collar. So you want to make sure that the light is facing up, so you can see it's flashing green, so that you can see the electricity when you're putting pressure on the collar, pressure on the e-collar. So you're going to find you want it snug. You don't want it to be too tight that the dog is going to choke or cough. That's going to be uncomfortable. Your goal is to have it not too loose and not too tight. So some dogs just have a neck where the collar slides around a bit more. It looks like I can go maybe one tighter. They also make bungee collars and collars that are more comfortable for the dogs to wear all day long. They also make comfort tips that you can put on for dogs with allergy issues and things like that. It's important because they're wearing these all day long, especially early on in their program. And we live out in the country, so my dogs wear their e-collars every day. So I'm going to just put this excess line back here, otherwise you can cut off the excess once you've got a good fit on the dog. So just high up on their neck. Now it looks like she's got a little bow here. So again, every day people are using these tools without the knowledge and wisdom to how to use them. People and animals perish for lack of knowledge, and so it's our job. We want to empower people with tools to be able to help their dogs, and so by sharing the dog training and as well as the gospel. And so people shouldn't have to suffer, so there are tools out there to help. And I will say that these tools are banned, in some countries, but here in the United States, we do have the ability to use them. But the problem is people aren't being taught how to use these tools. And so they're very powerful. We're going to start with finding Polly's working level. And now that we've found, or that we've got the collar fitted, I'm going to put back on my treats. And so that she understands this is not about punishment. This is about us having a tool to communicate with her off leash. And so dogs that, good girl, dogs that need more pressure, this is just an amazing tool for them. Polly, sit. It changes their state of mind for highly anxious dogs, because when the dog realizes you have an ability to communicate with them from a distance, it's like once we know God never leaves us, we know Jesus never leaves us, he's with us in the fire, he's with us everywhere, every trial we go through, everything. He never leaves us. There's a peace, there's a sense of security with that. And that's what happens with the dogs. They realize that there's a connection there that wasn't there before. And so we're going to find Polly's working level, meaning the lowest level that she can feel, that we can communicate on. So a lot of dogs work on a level 4 or lower. Most humans could not feel a 4 on a collar that has 100 levels. And remember, it's important to find a collar that has over 100 levels so that you can fine tune and find the lowest working level, because otherwise it will feel like a correction to the dog. So I'm going to start on a level 1, okay? And so I'm just going to push the button, and I see the red light going off on Polly's collar. She's not responding to this, and most dogs would not feel a level 1, okay? I'm going to reward her with a treat every time after I push the button so that she starts associating when I push the button, you know, good things come. So I'm pushing it, there's no response. When I'm looking for a response with a dog's working level, I'm looking for her ears to twitch. Well, now, you know, she's just got her ears back. But I'm looking for, a lot of times the dogs they'll look down, whatever side the collar is on, you know, the box. They'll look, you know, they will blink their eyes, and they will give you some sort of response. Some dogs do not give a response, and then you just have to go off, again, you know, working them through it, but starting on a low level. You don't want to start too high. Otherwise, you're going to scare the dog, and you're going to wreck the tool. So dog training is not about punishment, right? A relationship with God and Jesus should not be about, it's not about punishment. So they love us. They want a relationship with us. It's about relationship. So this is about communication and relationship. So that's what this should feel like. I'm going to go up to a level 2 now. So you can see here, I mean, that the red light, you can see that it lights up, and on most collars it will do that and let you know that when you're giving electricity, giving pressure. So I'm on a level 2, and, you know, she's really just focused on the treats right now. And so Polly has been on e-collar, not for that long, so she might not give me a response, but generally she does. She'll look towards the collar. So I'm going to go to a 3. You know, her ears are going up, and so you can also put the e-collar, you know, towards your chest. They hear the click on the collar, so sometimes it sounds like a clicker, you know, and so, but that's also why you can just give them a treat afterwards. So go to a 4. I have a feeling she's going to work on a 4. She's a pretty sensitive dog. Most dogs are. I have highly reactive dogs or aggressive dogs that I've worked with, and, you know, most of the time they work on a really low level on an e-collar. They're actually really highly sensitive. So, you know, people in the world that are highly sensitive, dogs in the world that are highly sensitive, and they overreact to things in the environment, that's why, because they're oversensitive. And so it's the ones that aren't really sensitive that, you know, that they work on higher levels, and they don't generally have that many issues. Okay, she's not giving me a response. So, and I don't want, remember, I don't want her to. Can you see her eyes blinking? I'll move this way so you can kind of see. You feel that? Now, I know that Polly generally feels, you know, 7, 8, 9, and especially outdoors. So I'm guessing that she's going to feel a 6 indoors because we're in a low distraction setting. And because she's been conditioned to this, again, she may not give us a response. So we may just start working. So now she's looking away. So I'm just going to start working on a 6 because I think that she feels that. She'll tell me if she feels it or not. So I'm going to push the button as I give her the command, and I'm using the leash to tell her how to turn off the button. So it's a little bit like patting your head and rubbing your belly. I think that's how it goes. So you might want to do that exercise before you do this because it's a little bit like that. You have to use both sides of your brain, and you're going to use this like a walkie-talkie, okay? So I'm leaving it unlocked right now in case I have to move levels, but you got to be careful and lock it on the number that you're working on the dog with. So I'm going to push the button. She's not going to move until I give her the command, but I'm not going to give the command until I push the button, again like a walkie-talkie, and she's getting tired, okay? So I'm just going to turn away from her. So Polly, come. I'm holding. There we go. Good girl. Polly, come. Polly, come. Good girl. Polly, sit. Giving her a little bit of pressure. As we start to work through these exercises, it's the same exercise that we have done with the communicative leash work process. I'm just turning away from her now. So Polly, come. Polly, come. And the dog is hooked. She's hooked onto me, right? Polly, come. As I'm turning away, and there she just gave a signal. Polly, sit. So she just tilted her neck, and her head to let me know, hey, I feel that it's a little bit much, so I'm going to go down. I'm going to go to probably a 4 because I have a feeling she felt it on a 4. If that's not enough, we can go to a 5, which is right in the middle. But I have a feeling she felt that. So Polly, come. And dogs are very smart. Polly, come. So again, a level 4, most humans, Polly, come, would not feel that. Polly, sit. And I'm raising my hand every time. I think she felt that. She gave a little bit of, but it was not anything, you know, she acknowledged, which is different than that's uncomfortable. Acknowledging the pressure. So I'm holding up my hand while I'm pushing the e-collar, and I'm lowering my hand when I'm off the e-collar button. Okay, so Polly, sit. So right there, she felt it again because she turned her head to the left. So that means I can go to a 3. Now again, that's a very, very low level. So most humans would not feel that. And so I cannot feel a level 3. So just so you know, because a lot of times, again, people think that you're correcting a dog when you use it. They misunderstand. Nope, Polly, sit. So now, right, she's not giving any indication. It's not uncomfortable, you know. Polly, come. Polly, come. Polly, sit. Good girl. And I'll start to use some more treats here. Again, you can use your foot, Polly, down, and your hand to guide them here. There, you know, and again, it's a level 3, so, you know, we're okay here. I could probably even go down to a 2 as I'm walking her through this. So you're layering on the e-collar to the leash, the tool that we've already used. Some people will use a training collar for this, but Polly is doing great on a slip lead. So it's just very easy to use that. Everything we've taught, and now we're transferring it to the e-collar. It's important that you take them through the same commands that you went through. If you start teaching new commands on an e-collar that they haven't went over on the leash, they're going to get confused. And confusion is not from God, right? Confusion is from the enemy. It's designed to mess people up, mess dogs up, confuse you, right? We don't want confusion. We want clarity. That's what brings peace. So you can also put the leash around your wrist here, put the handle around your wrist, and then that way you're not so reliant on it, but you kind of forget about it. You can use your left hand, and then you can start removing your hand from the leash. And so that you're relying more on the e-collar, okay? So Polly, come. Polly, come. If you want to use the e-collar as a walkie-talkie, Polly, sit. Good job. You can also use it here. Like I have my clients put the e-collar to their mouth so that they can time right what they're saying to their dog, because you want the electricity to come before your command, because here comes the pressure and now I'm going to tell you how to turn it off. So it's like, here comes the uncomfortableness of life, and just follow me and I'm going to tell you how to turn off that. A lot of dogs will scratch when they have new equipment on, and it's okay, you know, I mean, you don't want it to cause irritation, but they will get used to it over time. You know, it's important that you, you know, change the collar from side to side if you're working, you know, long periods, or if the dog has the collar on, you know, all day long. So we'll just switch it on this side of her neck now as we keep working, right? And so I'll just demonstrate with the walkie-talkie. Polly, come. Polly, come. If that's easier, right? So Polly, sit. Electricity comes. Good job. Before I give her the command, and then I tell her how to turn off the command, and then she says, wow, she's so smart. I'm going to listen to her or whatever she tells me. It's just like when God gives us the instruction, right? Here comes the pressure of life. Something's coming against you. Here comes something. I got to figure out what to do. God says, hey, do this. And then you figure it out, and it works. And then you say, okay, tell me what's next, God. I'll follow you, right? I'll follow you, Jesus, to the end of the earth, right? Polly, come. Polly, come. Good girl. Polly, sit. Good job. And then we'll just go for the down. And again, I'm down, down. I'm pointing at this hand as I'm pushing the button here. So I could have, you know, it's a little bit complicated when you're, you know, using two hands or you're using this to guide them, you know, and so she still needs a little pressure with the leash to go into the down, but that's okay. Pretty soon they won't. And if you use treats when you're doing this, again, the dog is going to, you know, come to love the e-collar. Dogs should not have any feelings about it. My dogs get their collars on in the morning. They get, you know, we take it off for naps and things like that during the day, but it comes off at night. They shouldn't be scared of the tool. If they are, we've not conditioned it properly, okay? So I'll continue to hold my hand up just because I think that's easier and more, you know, you can see that better when I'm holding the pressure on the camera instead of putting it to my mouth. I'm going to go through one more time to ensure Polly understands what I'm asking of her before I drop the leash and move to the next step. Okay? So she's doing great. So let's just see if I can eliminate a lot of the leash pressure. Your job is to wean yourself off of the leash and make sure the dog is understanding what the e-collar means with using less and less pressure. That's why you remove your hand. So I'm going to do it this time with my hand removed before we drop the leash. And so, Polly, come. Polly, come. And every time you turn that corner, Polly, sit. It's important to use come. Good job. Polly, down. Polly, down. Right, good job. So I didn't have to use any leash pressure that time when I was giving her the commands. I did have to use my body to communicate with her what I want, and that's okay. That's right, spatial pressure, but that's okay. She's getting it, and she did it without the leash pressure. So now I know I'm ready to move to the next step.